Let's see if it is working. Hello, everyone. I am trying to do the Instagram. Why is it not? Okay, it is showing now. Instagram is always a little late. It
A little
is live.
iffy.
It should live. Hi, everyone. Hi, Amy. I'm so excited. I can't believe this is real.
It's
real.
real. And I'm so happy to be here. Thank you that's a kind thing to say. I'm thrilled to be chatting with you, and that you would think to have me on your show is really cool. So let's get into it.
Yes, let's get into it. I can't wait. But first, we need to do a cheers. Cheers, Amy.
Yes. Cheers to you. This is my first cup
you.
of coffee, so like my words will probably get progressively faster as we go.
That's good. We have time.
Perfect.
Coffee helps, always helps. For those of you who don't know Amy, you are losing the game of live and personal branding. Amy Landino is 3 times best-selling author, content creator, and award-winning host of one of the most popular YouTube series, Amy TV. And I met her in 2017 in San Diego, California. Not in person, but I listened to her on the stage. That's how I started watching her videos, learning from her. And now that's why I said, is this real? Because she has been my role model. And now here we are chatting together. And I'm so excited to have her. Welcome again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really excited. Let's tell everyone all the wonderful branding things that they can do for themselves.
Yes, please. We need to learn from you. And I love branding, colors, and coaching, everything. And the work you do is so relate to my core, because I have authenticity as my biggest value in my personal and professional life. So I know that is one of your values. So I want to start asking you, how did you decide to do what you do today?
Whew, well, I ask myself every day, do I still love what I'm doing today? Because I think that's really important. But I mean, if it's all about the backstory of how things got started, every moment was about discovering something new about myself and leaning into it. And I think that that's really important for everyone here. There's probably something that you're thinking of that feels really good, but you're a little fearful of it, or you haven't started because there might be judgment around it, or people will ask you questions and you don't know how to answer those questions. So you just kind of avoid it altogether. But I mean, I started, my first YouTube video was in 2007, not 2017. 2007. It was a very long time ago. I didn't know YouTube existed. I found it because I was just uploading content to a website that let me share with a link. I thought that was so cool because my videos up to that point were on a DVD. Okay. So I was like, oh, wow, I can share this with my Facebook friends if I upload it to YouTube. So it was a really interesting trajectory because it was just little things. I had discovered how to edit video, which gave me a creative outlet. I discovered YouTube, which allowed me to share that creative outlet. And then I discovered that social media marketing was becoming a legitimate skill set that was to be sold or hired for amongst businesses. And so all of these things, all of these moments of picking up details about yourself and what you're learning and what the economy is doing, what the market wants, it just resulted in my next step. So, you know, those were the very, very first steps that ultimately allowed me to decide to leave my job. It still took me about a year. I side hustled. I got my first clients, made the really big decision over about a year's time that I was going to go out on my own. And then it's evolved from there. How I started my business in 2009, 2010 is wildly different than what I do today. I was starting a social media agency at the time, and I do nothing of the sort now. So every day you're going and you're getting more confidence, you're getting more experience, you're adding things to your repertoire, you have a skill set, and you continue to evolve into how you can leverage it to build. And I think that's really interestingly the one way to describe a niche or a niche, right? Like whichever word you prefer. You end up being the niche because of your experience and what you've learned and how you continue to carry it forward. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but that's kind of how we got here.
It does, in a very detailed way. And I know most entrepreneurs and myself struggles to find the niche you said. Like, how did you find your own?
It's a combination, right? Like, so there's you, and that specializes it, because nobody can be you. But the other half of that, and I also think these are two really important. I've been talking about this so much recently. I'm realizing this is kind of my argument around imposter syndrome. We say things like, I want to be authentic. We say things like, we want to find a niche. We say things like this because it sounds good. But what's actually happening is we're trying to collect the information we need to combat imposter syndrome. And half of it, I feel, is who you are and what you bring to the table. So what value you have. And the other half of it then is who determines the value. And that is who you do this for. Who is your ideal client? Who is your ideal audience? And that's what everybody usually talks about in terms of niche or niche, is who you do this for. That's a great deal of it, because you have to be able to look at the camera and say, like, I know who I'm talking to here. I know who I serve, and I can disregard people who are irrelevant to that, because you're never going to win with them. And so it's all about making sure you just get the point home and get the likability and the teamwork level of relationship with the right person. So that's half of it. But the other half of it is, what would they find valuable so that they even will tune in? So somebody watching this show is saying, I want this information, but they also like you for how you deliver it and how you've packaged it. And meanwhile, you've considered who they are, what they're struggling with, why they haven't started, how they've started, but they've gotten stalled, and those issues that affect them. And that's how content ends up moving us all forward in a relationship. That makes know, like, and trust a thing. That makes a thought leader a part of somebody's journey. So, a lot of that is how I did it. Is discovering those things, meeting people. Every time I have an interview like this is a chance for me to continue to get to know someone, whether it's you, and you've made it known that you've been a part of my community. So that's really special for me, because it's a moment I get to touch base with somebody who truly has raised their hand and said, I like what you're doing and I've learned from you. So I get to learn how I can continue to help you more. But also, even if that weren't the case, if you were just interviewing me because it was for your core audience, I get to talk about what's important to them. That makes me better as a thought leader, because it's not just me coming up with ideas and strategies in a vacuum. I'm coming up with ideas and strategies that are actually contextually appropriate for what somebody is going through.
Yes, I think I'm glad you said that. It is very important, because most people, and I did it in my first years as an entrepreneur, they think, I know this and I have this package, let me sell this to you, before asking what they need or what they are actually passionate about. So I like that you are saying it. And
by the way, I just want everyone who's done that to know, we've all been there. And your product that didn't sell because you didn't think about it in the frame of who was going to buy it is probably fantastic. And everyone thinks there was something wrong with the product when that happens, right? It's just like, no. You probably came up with something really, really good. Maybe it wasn't 100%, because you also needed a few more details about who it was for to make it fully fabulous. But it was the marketing and the inability to sell properly that it failed. So I just want everyone to know, if you have a great product and you're really disappointed that it didn't perform well, go back and look at why that is not always that the product isn't the right product. I just love that you said that. And I just think there's not enough awareness about that. Somebody's likely to throw away their product and try to come up with a new one. True. And then when they didn't fix the actual problem of marketing and sales, your product's going to fail again. You could have had a great product to start. You just needed to pivot in other ways.
Very true. Very true. And that leads to my next question, very relatively. Did you have, I'm going to say it like in a simple way, did you have enough money to create a team to go bigger? Or did you take risk and spend or get in debt to build a team and to make the multiple figure business?
All of the above. All of the above. Whenever you take on a team, it's a risk because you are betting on yourself that you can support other people's livelihood. It's a big step. So I would never say that taking on a team is not risky. And actually what's fascinating about that is that a person thinks they're getting a job, and that's job security, and that's secure. But when you work for a startup or a small business, you as an employer are also taking a risk. However, what I'll say is, yeah, there's got to be funding. You've got to be able to fund the cause. You're going to hear sometimes about somebody who's launched a business and it does very well, and they've got a new idea, and now they just need to get the bells and whistles going and the people to help make that happen. And they'll pull from the other business to fund it. And it's not that that's always a bad call. I think everyone has different experience with that. And I don't even have as much experience with that, if I'm being honest. But it's dangerous a little bit because you haven't proven concept for the thing you want to fund yet. So I'm always wondering, if you need a team, how have you proven for the business you need the team on? How have you proven that you are bringing revenue into that business to be able to pay for a team? And my business coach talks about this in regards to how you buy back your time. Because one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my business was the allure of, we need a team. Everyone's talking about a team. We need a team. I need many people surrounding me. I need an entourage. I need all these things. And it got really bougie really fast. And that's not smart business practice. Just because you have more people around you supporting you does not mean they are actually supporting you, especially if you never figured out what the right roles are for people within your team to take care of you and the business. So when I say the mistakes I've made, it wasn't about hiring a team. Hiring a team was very smart, but the individual roles of each person are very important. And we were doing things like, oh, I'm going to hire this like podcast editor, and she's going to be in charge of all the podcasts and da. Okay. She was awesome. She was really good. And podcasting was very important to us at the time. So we just kept starting new podcasts. And we had this one and we had that one and we had all these things. And that was not the core source of revenue. It was this fun project that we wanted to fund. So ultimately that person in that role was on very shaky ground. It ended up being the first thing to get cut easily because we hadn't brought revenue in specific to that venture within the business. So of course the person supporting that was going to get cut. She wasn't supporting anything that was actually making money. So all of this to say that I've been there in terms of making mistakes. And if you're just getting started, or if you have a team and it's not going well, look at each role and say, where did I actually hire to buy my time back? So for most people, it's going to be the administrative stuff. So if you're the creative in the business, or you're really good at ops, but you're caught too much in the weeds, have you outsourced somebody handling your calendar? Have you outsourced somebody handling your email? Have you outsourced somebody doing the little details that you do not need to be in, setting up times for your Zoom meetings or putting things on your calendar, stuff like that? That's one example of buying back your time, because most all of us are doing that. If you're not doing that, no one's talking to you. So do you have a business? Because most people who aren't talking to any people, their business is worth nothing. So you, at a basic level, even if you're only bringing in a couple $1,000s, you have to buy back that time administratively so that you can focus on the delivery of what you do and how you make money. In addition to marketing and sales and all the other things, that you have not made your time valuable enough yet to put people in those positions. So it's constantly a measurement of, where am I spending my time? What do I not have time for? How much time am I spending on things that actually bring money into the business? And how do I start paying people the, let's say, $20 an hour? I don't know what the average is. And I'm not trying to undershoot anything. I'm not trying to say anybody's worth less. But if you're supposed to be at the $100 an hour level and you're doing $20 an hour tasks, you're paying an assistant $100 an hour to do your calendar. So we want to find an assistant that's actually the right price to handle those tasks, so you can get back to $100 an hour tasks. You bring in more money, you can afford that person in that seat. They're actually doing things that make the difference. And then we're bringing in more, and then you pay the next position that's taking up too much of your time. I can't do all this video editing. This is way too much video editing. I can't do all the video editing. Great. Now we know we need to find out how much video editors are, and we need to buy back that time. And so now that's the big thing that I'm only learning in these last few years that I wish I would have learned 15 years ago. Because then when I brought on my first team, although I learned wonderful lessons that I'm so excited I get to take forward and teach other people, it sucked. And I wish somebody told me 15 years ago not to do it. You know what I mean? So that's why we're here, to serve in that way.
Well, thank you so much for sharing transparently. So that tells me that was your worst decision to not do years ago. What would be your best decision as an entrepreneur?
Best decision also is hiring people. So there's two sides to that coin. That was the bumps in the road for learning how to bring people on and learning how to manage, learning what elements of management I wanted to do and don't want to do. And that I could go down that road forever. So that's one half of it. But the other big mistake was waiting too long to do it. So what's really interesting about entrepreneurship right now is that people are starting because they're so energized, regardless of how much time and energy they have. They have so much energy behind the fact that you can do a lot of it yourself. Social media is free. I can live stream on my phone. I can do all of this on my computer at home. I just need internet. I just need a cell phone signal. That's very empowering. But then if you stay on that road for too long, you end up building a business that's entirely reliant on you, and you become a forever freelancer. And I don't know about you, but I always have a very hard time asking for help. So I thought it was good on me that I do everything. I thought it said I had what it took, that I had the staying power, the persistence, the energy. I loved it. I lived for it. And that's a dangerous place to be, because as a forever freelancer, all you did was take a job that was offering you benefits, free candy, a nice cushy chair, a personal parking spot, and you threw all that away for a riskier job where you are the boss and have to find the business yourself and do all the things. So you don't want to leave the job to become a forever freelancer, which quite frankly is what our governments are different. It's what it's what the government considers you when you're a solopreneur. You might have the LLC, you might have filed for a couple things that are nice on the tax. They still just look at you like you're this little freelancer. They just need to know these things. You're not a legitimate business. So the mistake was waiting too long to learn what it took to bring that team on. And one of the best things in the world is bringing people on to support you, because it's so powerful to build something with other people, especially when you go, oh my gosh, I'm not the smartest person in the room. This is awesome. I have really brilliant people that are on my team helping me build my things. I'm getting goosebumps right now that make you better. And you don't have to feel bad. This has been hard for me. I educate people on how to start a business and I hire people. That seems weird. Why would I hire people to work for me if I'm trying to empower those same types of people to start their own thing? But you don't have to feel bad about that if that's the right decision for their life and you actually care about their life. You can have an amazing team who you support implicitly, try to do anything in your power to make their life goals happen, and still be an entrepreneurial sort of advocate. So that's been really fun and a very interesting part of the learning curve. So the best thing is bringing people on. And as long as everybody's doing the right thing for their role, and in a lot of cases, me managing those people is not the right thing for my role. But as long as you figure out those kinks, it's amazing. It really is cool.
Very true. And I will think about it more and more, because that has been a struggle in my journey.
You gotta let go, girl. You gotta let go.
I know.
And that's our problem.
Yes.
Like, oh, no one can do this as well as I can. God, I hate to break it to you. It's not true. It's not true. And then you can go on and do way better things that are more fulfilling and more profitable to get better at. You want to do the things that only you can do and get better at that, not this little piddly stuff that someone is so thrilled to do for you because it fills their cup.
Very true. I will do that. Promise. Good. In front of everybody.
Next up, we're holding her accountable.
Perfect. Sounds good. What is the most important key element to build a personal brand, online digital brand?
The most important, I mean, it's so multifaceted. The most important element of building a personal brand online, I mean, we talked about it a little bit with the imposter syndrome thing, right? Like you need to know what you do, what value you have, and who it applies to. Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing is confidence, which really sucks because there's going to be people out there that are like, I don't have confidence. Mm-hmm. But it's the confidence that you are sure of those things, who you do this for, and how you provide value. And the confidence that you don't have to know everything right now in order to be valuable. There's this misconception, and I think it's because people are very overeducated. Like there's a course on that. There's a thing on that. There's a thing. I'm going to buy the ebook. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy that. And it's like, great, cool. You got all this knowledge. Spoiler alert, you can get all that information online for free. Like all of it. Mm-hmm. You want to feel you have the permission slip that you have enough knowledge. I went through that course, so I did that thing and I'm ready now. But still, that wasn't even the thing that you needed. It was just the willingness to be curious and interested in how you can help somebody. I all the time have moments in my business where I still might not have an answer to something. I can't think of something right now. I tend to have a lot of answers. But if there's something that genuinely stumps me, I'm not insecure about that. I am excited about the fact that, there's a new level to unlock here in myself as an expert and how I help this person. Because the really interesting thing about all of life, business, coaching, you can coach on anything. Mm-hmm. This is the greatest kept secret about coaching. If you don't think you can coach somebody, the greatest kept secret is everyone's problems are the same. We have all the same problems. It's just a matter of how solvable they are. If you have, I charged this and they didn't pay it and they're pushing back, that's a money problem. It's all money, right? That's a money problem. If you have money problems, you don't have problems. Money problems can get fixed. If you try hard enough, they can get fixed. Do you have a health problem? That's a problem. But if somebody has this kind of a health issue, this, it all comes back to its health. So the upside to getting into this is you can take solace in the fact that all of us have the same problems. We're just packaging them with different details. It's called context. Here's the experience. Here's what I'm going through. Here's why I'm special. We talk about how we're special so time and time again, right? As the coach, you have to be able to read between the lines and read between all of those details and go, what is the root issue here? And so the better you get at that, the better you get at your craft, because you tend to have the answers when you know what the root issue is all the time. And we're all dealing with the same root issue. Everyone loves to tell a story about why something is the case for them and why it's happening and what they need help with. And it makes them feel better that it's likely a very simple solution that they're pretending not to know. And that's our job to help them find it. So that was a very long-winded answer. I don't remember the question, but I hope that was because it happens all the time. And I think the confidence, that's what it was. The confidence that you need is knowing that you don't have to know everything. You have to be genuinely interested in people and so happy to help them win that you'll do anything to help them figure out what the problems are. And if you do that, it doesn't matter if you sell products that cost $20. It doesn't matter if you're a coach and you charge high ticket. If you are that person, if you are that business owner, if you are that salesperson, you will win. The right people will find you and you'll do fabulously.
Very true. Very true. And I like using metaphors or comparing things with the real life issues. I mean, not real life, but as an entrepreneur, I like to compare my work with the corporate jobs or anything in life that we do. So I recently found something, and I'm curious if you feel the same way. I used to be a human resources specialist, and my dad in front of everyone and so many other employees didn't find it valuable. They thought HR specialists do nothing and they're not important. They just hanging out. And I found personal branding and coaching can be the same until something went wrong. People don't see the value in HR. Like until you don't receive your paycheck, they don't see that you're actually doing something. And branding is the same. Until you get rejected, they don't know like how important it is. Like, would you agree? And what would you say about it?
100%. I think that could be true for absolutely any position, just like you said. And the really interesting thing is my favorite part about coaching, my favorite part about it is that it's on me in the marketing and sales process to help somebody see that light. Like that's literally what marketing and sales is proving that there is a problem, you can solve it, and or there's a problem you don't even know about yet and I can solve it. Like all of those things. The best part is when somebody does make the jump and they realize, oh my gosh, how did I not have a coach in my life? Because there's so many elements to it. It's not just the information you can get. I give all my information away because I just realized, why are we putting anything behind a paywall? So there are things that I have behind the paywall as a coach that are also public on YouTube, on Instagram. I put it out everywhere because I know you can get it from anywhere. You can get it free. You can get it paid from anywhere. I want you to get it from me if you are my person, right? But the coolest thing about that is being able to feel very abundant in that information, getting it out there. And then they get into my ecosystem and they're my client and they realize there's so much more to this. It's that weekly push they get on the call, the reminder that other people are trying to make progress too. Somebody got to win. Somebody got to win. Somebody got to win. I want to get a win. And that kind of thing, holding your feet to the fire is what you need in that element. HR, same thing, the invaluable things that happen in that role, you can't even scratch the surface on. But that's why you have to promote it. You have to let people know what they're missing out on, not just you wait until I'm on your team. I'm going to rock your world. Rock their world now, because then they're going to say, I need an HR specialist. There's a person that handles that. I just realized as the business owner or as the executive, I've been keeping all that stuff in the back of my brain and I don't ever want to deal with it, which is why I left it back there. Now I've realized there could be a person that does that for me. So if you think that it's a position that people find irrelevant, you're probably right, because it is irrelevant if I don't understand how you're making my life better. Marketing and sales. How are you making my life better? Personal branding. How are you making my life better? I always say that the number one rule of personal branding is people care about who you are, but they don't care about you. So a lot of us in personal branding get confused when we see somebody posting, oh, I'm going to this coffee shop today and I'm having this and it's so delicious. Like, I don't care about you. I'm not saying that in a mean way. Your cup of coffee is completely and utterly irrelevant to me. But if I say, hi, my name is Amy Landino and I'm a personal brand coach, people don't hear Amy Landino, they hear personal brand coach. And now that it's like, well, what does that have to do with? That sounds like it has something to do with me. How would that have something to do with me? And you unpack that further. So when you realize that you become relevant, your position, your job, your name, all of it, when you have fully communicated how you are valuable to someone. I keep saying the same words over and over again, but truly it's like what you do to make a difference in someone's life and someone's work. That's when a personal brand begins to take off. We could have said, we're sitting here having a cup of coffee today. Yeah, sure. Or we could have said, come have a cup of coffee with us because we're going to teach you how to build a profitable digital brand. That's different. That's not about us anymore. We're just helping facilitate that conversation. Now it's about you and what you take from this talk to apply in your own life. And here's kicker of the whole thing.
Waiting.
I hope everybody takes everything that they get out of this and they go and they do it and they win. If you don't hire me, I will be fine. I will find someone else that will hire me. It'll be fine. But you're more likely to want to hire me if you got good information from me and were able to actually do it. So my favorite thing in the world is telling somebody how to go make money, Because if they couldn't make it before and they can do it now, they're going to want to spend it with me because I'm going to show them how to make even more. There's not enough of that. Everyone's hiding everything. Stop hiding everything. Be generous. It's going to give you so much more confidence, and you're going to have so much more awareness because you're not trying to keep things close to the vest. You're putting it out there. And then people start to care about your name because they got something out of it.
Yes, very true. And thank you so much for doing what you're saying. You're owning it and doing it. That's why in our like small chit chat before we go live, I told you like you are the same in your videos. I have been watching tons of your videos, and when we met for the first time, I was like, you're the same. And that's what we are missing in this world.
Yeah.
And I just really want to thank you for doing that and owning that, sharing it, because so many people are hiding, they don't share their vulnerable times or hard times. We all been there, like you said, and we need to own it and support to each other.
And I've been through seasons of that too. And I want to say one more thing on that. You're right. And we do hide. And it's not because we have bad intentions. A lot of us are hiding because we're afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of fears that you can come up with any one you want. But like I said, everything usually comes back to the same problem. And this one comes back to perfectionism. Everybody wants to be great out of the gate. But that's a perfectionism issue because you can't be great out of the gate if you have no experience, no reps. And so that messy beginning is uncomfortable because you're not quite comfortable yet. And the people who already know you are going, what is going on? So just notice the perfectionism issues that you have and choose something else because it will get better.
Yes. I listen to people. You listen to this. And I want to ask a personal question to you on behalf of my female audience and myself.
Yeah.
I know you're a married person and you have beautiful kids. And I am curious, my audience are too. As an entrepreneur, how do you adjust yourself and how do you keep up with everything? And you have a video around this. I saw it somewhere. But can you share a little tips and tricks how people can do it?
You know, I'm finding this conversation continues to come up as it should because we're all trying to figure this out, right? And I just think it's really interesting because there are a lot of women out there who can't get pregnant. There's a lot of women who can't have kids or have a hard time. And I would say I'm very fortunate because I thought I was one of those people and it wasn't true. So there was about a year where we tried and we really thought something was wrong and we started to see doctors, and then it happened when we least expected it. And now we have two. I have 2 kids, 2 and under. And so I say that because most of us are trying very hard to find our partner and start our family. And then we get to this point where we're like, but wait, there's more. I have other things I love to do. I want to have this business. I have this job, but I want to start this side hustle. I got all these things, but I have these kids. I have this husband. What am I going to do? That was the plan. That was the plan the whole time. So if we stopped looking at it as defense and thinking of it as offense, I chose this husband. I chose this life. I chose these children. This was a part of the plan. Now we can say, okay, all right, reset. Well, what if we looked at everything that intentionally? If my work is important to me, but it's also supposed to be a part of my life, so it's not the whole story, then what are we doing to make work with the life we want? So why are we not reverse engineering what life was supposed to be with that being the case? And it's going to cause a lot of reflection, right? I'm going to reflect now on why I had kids and when I had kids and why we did it this way and why we live here. And sometimes we make those decisions very flippantly because we think we're supposed to be doing it at that time. And then when we get to this moment where we're trying to be more intentional, we're like, wait. Oh, right. I guess that was the plan because we did that. So that's my very philosophical way of saying the tips and tricks are that those were your people that you chose first. That's your family you picked. So you need to look at what you do for work as a part of that puzzle and how it's all going to work together. Is it going to be perfect? No, life is not going to be a perfect puzzle. Things are going to get weird. But as an example, there was a time where I realized I'm a forever freelancer and we have to put a stop to this because I'm not going to want to do this job forever. I used to wake up at 4 a.m. And for anybody who used to watch my morning routine videos, I used to wake up at 4 a.m. and I just was doing this and this and this and this and this and all these things. And I didn't even have to. Solopreneur, working for myself, had a team, woke up that early just because I could. Now in this phase of my life, I realized all those strategies I was learning around productivity now really matter because I have people that I have to adjust for. So it really comes down to how have you decided how your life is going to be? And I look at things based on outcomes and not time. I don't measure my value on time. I can't. I need to make what I need to make to support the life I designed. And so how do I get that outcome? I'm going to deliver on that outcome. If somebody says they want to buy a certain amount of my time, I'm going to ask them, well, what do you need out of it? I don't work at a job. I don't clock in and clock out. I don't sell my time. I am selling a product of what happens when we connect at some point. Is there an hour and a half long appointment on my calendar when I meet with my coaching group? Of course. But the outcome is that I want to give as much information on a weekly basis to those people so that they make exponentially wonderful things happen. I'm not selling them an hour and a half a week. I'm selling them the product of being a part of my ecosystem that they're going to be able to get multiple 5, 10x as soon as possible on what they paid to work with me. That's an outcome. That's not time. I'm not selling the hour and a half a week we talk. I'm selling the massive difference in your business it's going to be. So everybody who's worried about this work-life balance, the tips and tricks of the family and the work, and it's like, how have you sold your time that you should not be doing anymore? And that's going to help you understand a lot of what's wrong with your business model, with your work life, and how you want your life to be along with that. And you can start adjusting for it. Think in terms of outcomes, not in terms of time.
I love it. And I love when you said, like, it was an eye-opening for me, and I'm sure for many of us around there, when you said that was the plan, that was part of the plan. And so many entrepreneurs, my clients, and I know people are thinking, like, I have this job as an entrepreneur and I can't have a family, or I can't have kids, or I can't adjust my life. But when you put them as a big stone and in a glass, look, that's that's the
stone. Exactly. It's a fantastic. We talk about the big rocks. If the kids and the family were a big rock and the career was great, we just got to figure it out. We just got to figure it out. But what we're all doing as women specifically is rationalizing doing it all and calling it, how do I get work-life balance? You're calling it, how do I get work-life balance? Because you want to feel better about the things that you're doing with your time. If it was part of the plan, then keep planning. That's it. Now, I'm also going to say, for any women who go about building a family the traditional way, and there's lots of ways to build a family now, but getting pregnant and being pregnant takes up time and energy. And I had to course correct. Again, I'm always course correcting. I ended up spending too much time on things. And with my second, I was very sick in the last 2 to 3 months of pregnancy. Just all the time. My toddler was bringing things home from daycare and getting me sick. And I was sick and sick and sick. It was immediately apparent that my maternity leave was happening sooner than anticipated. And as an entrepreneur, that meant I can't have anything on the calendar. Nothing. I am completely unreliable. I can't show up to any appointments that don't have to do with me medically. The only thing I can do is deliver outcomes by a deadline, and that's it. So I made sure that the rest of my work that I was able to do for that time, because I knew I wasn't going to be working for the first 6 weeks or so, was of her life. For the last months of pregnancy, it was, what are the outcomes I can deliver when I feel up to it, because my health has changed. So that is a huge luxury. It takes time, it takes expertise, it takes building, it takes branding to get to the point where you can make those executive decisions. The average entrepreneur starting to do that now still has to do some legwork to get traffic, to get leads, to get business, to be able to say, here's how I'm going to sell it so that it works with my life, and here's how much I'm going to sell it for so that it sustains itself. You do have to put in that work. So this is why it's never too soon to start a program, because that leverage of that awareness of who you are helps you to be able to make executive decisions. And fortunately for me, I started as far back as 2007 to now be at a moment in my life where all that work I did is paying off. Even when a lot of businesses suffered in 2020, we built a massive event-based video production company. We did pretty well in 2020 because there were 2019 budgets that still needed to be spent, and we got to do all of our work remotely. So it was great. But after that, the business dried up. There were no events. It was over. So making those adjustments as they happen is really, really important. And you have to keep going with it. You're never going to figure this out and it work out for you for the next 40 years. It continues to evolve. And so that became, okay, how do we make an adjustment? And the business suffered a little bit. But my business never suffered so much that I had to go work a job. There was never a day that I still wasn't making 2 to 3x what the average person makes at a job, even when business was down. That comes from having a personal brand. That comes from having leverage. That comes from doing the work when you can, so that when family starts to take up more space in the bottle, that we can allow for that. So it's so important people do not rest on perfectionism as their reason to not start, because you starting now and going through the messiness as fast as you can and execute and get your reps in and do the thing and get better and hire a coach so they can tell you all the stupid things to skip. Do it now so that you have that time that you're like, I want to be off for those years of their life, or I want to have a maternity leave and feel comfortable and not have to ask a boss. In the States, we have to beg for the amount of time we get from maternity leave for whatever job we have. If you want to be able to make that decision for yourself, you have to build your own thing. So build it now, do it as soon as possible, so that when you need to be able to take those liberties, you're in charge, you can do it. That's the great news about it. When you own a business, you're balancing life and family crazy amounts, but because you own the business, you get to make the decision. So it's wonderful and it's hard at the same time. Be the decision maker. Just say, I'm in charge. I decide. I'm going to do the best I can whenever I can. And even if it's not a perfect world and you do have to sell your time a little bit because you're still building, at least take advantage of what you have available to you. Don't have this sob story that it's not exactly what you want right now, because every single thing that you do to push it forward is going to give you more opportunity to do that.
Very true. Everything you're saying, I just want to have a cup of coffee or some other drinks and listen to you all day. Like, can we stay here for a couple of days? Can we like chat?
Talking thing, I guess, is what they tell me. So thank you.
No, it's very juicy. All the information are very, very beneficial for me. Now, I'm sure everyone who is watching or will watch later. And I couldn't understand. I'm looking like back and forth the time. It's been 45 minutes and I don't want to leave you, but I know like we have to end. So I want to ask you lastly, I always ask my guests, what would you tell to our audience as maybe last legacy sentence from Amy Landino, what would you say?
Start now. I'm gonna give you guys a special little gift. If you go to my Instagram, you can search for me, Amy Landino, or it's Schmatastic. That's been my handle for a very long time. You can just search for me on Instagram. Send me a DM with the word action. When you do that, you're going to get my extraordinary action framework. That's something that I give to my coaching clients. Like I said, I like to give away stuff, whether it's paid or not. And this is going to help so many of you because we don't take action because we haven't made a decision. And we haven't made a decision oftentimes because we're confused about what the actual problem is. Like what we just talked about. The problem is not the kids.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we can't decide where we should be focused, and it gets us distracted. So the extraordinary action framework, just to get to the punchline there, is an opportunity for you to go, why am I unsettled? What is the problem? Focus on what the problem is so you can just get to the solutions and come up with the master plan of what to do. Because if there is anything I've learned, it's that we start and we do something one time or two times. But if you start and you agreed, like, I want to have a personal brand. I want to interview people like Amy. Okay, cool. What if you had an agreement with yourself that you were going to go live on Instagram every single day for 100 days? Do you think you'd be better after 100 days? That's really interesting. I like to get people to the end of that framework to find the thing they could do 10 times a day, 100 times a day, one time a day for 100 days. Because if you put in that work, if you commit to it, one, you're going to be better at the end. But two, you might find out you had a completely different idea at the start and you're going to pivot and go, oh, that's not the thing. This is the thing. And you keep going. You guys want the answers. You're not going to get them from us. We have lots of ideas. We have lots of experience. We have lots of context to offer you. It has nothing to do with you until it has something to do with you. So go DM me the word action. It's going to instantly send you a PDF. It's just a Google Doc. Like it takes you straight to Google Docs. Go through the framework. Do it for anything that's going on, any problem you have, business, life, money, spirituality, whatever. Make the decision that you're going to get the root of the issue, find solutions, go with a solution, and then proceed with making a difference. Because if you do anything from this conversation, that's what's going to make a change for you. Not all my stories about motherhood and all these different things about how long I've been on YouTube. Who cares? Like I said, nobody cares about who you are. Everybody cares about who you are. They don't care about you. You guys don't care how long I've been on these platforms. You care about what it's going to do to change your life. And so I think that would be helpful. My legacy is that I did anything ever that helped somebody make their life better. And so I'm just constantly on a mission to help them do that. So hopefully that'll help.
It does. It does already to me. So I appreciate that. I love everything you shared. And you personally, you are a great human, mother, entrepreneur. Thank you so much for being here, being in this world and serving others, owning who you are. I had a lot of insights from this show, and I hope everybody did too. Thank you so much, Amy, for joining.
You're so welcome. Thank you for asking me to be here. You are a fabulous interviewer. You are doing big things. Your brand is amazing. And I can't wait to continue to see where you go from here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who joined. See you again.
Thank you.
Let's try this.